Hello there, Jan here. Today I'm going to be making an album. A customer asked me to make an unusual album. It's to hold nine separate birthday cards for a family to give to their mother, and I haven't actually got a finished item to show you at the moment because I'm doing it as I go along. So if you want to see the finished item, you'll have to wait till the other side of this video so that I can show you it. But what I'm doing at the moment is I'm showing you, I'm going to do a little tutorial about how I've done the pages, how I've set it all up, etc. So I'm going to be using this beautiful paper from Stamperia, which is called Lilac Flowers. It's so gorgeous, but the thing is, the only problem with it is that they only give you 10 sheets of paper, so it works out quite expensive actually. So you only get 10 sheets of paper, and each of those are double-sided, so there's only 5 sheets of paper in a pack actually. So I'm going to use the best part of 2 packs. I'm not going to use it all, but some papers I'm going to use from, you know, the same paper. So that's the only issue with it. But other than that, it's just absolutely beautiful papers. So I will talk you through the measurements as we go each page, and then I will post up a list of the cutting pieces that you're going to need. I've done a lot of the prep beforehand so that hopefully it won't be too boring for you. So without any further ado, let's kick off, get on with it. Okay, so each page in this album, the overall album is going to be, let me just look at my crib sheet here. The overall album is 7 by 7 inches by 7 inches, and the spine's going to be 2.5 inches. And I think that's quite good actually, because I'm not really happy anymore with those albums with the great big thick spine. I think they're too cumbersome to hold and to manage. Today I'm going to make the pages, and I will make the outside of the album, its box to go in, and assemble the whole thing tomorrow. But today we'll just go through the pages, hopefully. I'll do as much as I can anyway. So the album itself is 7 by 7. Each page is 6.5 by 6.5. And I did that because I want to make the most of the Stamperia paper, so I could cut it into 6 by 6 pieces. It's a 12 by 12 pad, so that gives me four pages per sheet. Now I decided to do, let me just move this out of the way, I decided to do 9 separate envelopes with their own cards inside. So I'll just show you what I've done first. And out of the scraps I also managed to get 9 tags as well. So these are the tags. Let's just show you what I managed to get out of it. So hold on, some of these you'll see are scraps that have doubled up, but they're just so gorgeous. This paper is incredible. So that's the same as that. There you go. So that's the 9 tags. I'm going to try and put a tag on each page, and then the family that are going to give it to their mum, they can either write something or attach it to a present or something if they want to. Anyway, that's up to them. So I managed to get the 9 tags. I also managed to cut out quite a few little butterflies. I must admit, fussy cutting's not my favourite thing to do. I'm not much good at it, but I managed to salvage some of the butterflies, and I'll be using those to stick on to the pages as well when I come to fully decorate them. So these are the envelopes that I got out of it. These envelopes measure, hold on, I can't get my ruler out. These envelopes measure 5.5 by 4, and each envelope has a card inside, and these are just the tags from the actual paper, and I've just, you know, flat cut them on here because they all wanted to send a card that they could write something in, write a sort of a, you know, a decent piece. So they're just basically cardstock, and I've just used the paper just to cover the front. So that's the first one. Okay, so that's that. That's one. And then the others, they're all the same, but they're all the same style, but obviously not all the same card. So this is the envelope for number 2, and this is the card. Again, nothing inside them. They're to write on. Envelope number 3 with the card. Number 4 with its card. The cards I made are actually, excuse me, 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. This is the next one, and that's the card for it. And another one similar to the one that I showed you before, and that's the card for it. Then these 2 envelopes are actually cut out from the in the pad. It gives you an envelope template, and this is what it makes up, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So what I did was, once I'd cut this out, I then used the template of it, which is here, and I drew round the papers to get this size, to get the same envelope size for all of them. However, you can make it on your envelope punch board just as easily. It's, you know, it's not difficult at all. So that's the card that goes with that one. Here's the same envelope again, and the card that goes with that. And finally this envelope and the card that goes with that. So they are going to feature one on each page. Now the album I'm making, I've decided on 4 pages, and using the back and front covers as well. So that will give us 10 sides. She only needs 9, so the back of the inside cover, which would be the 10th one, I'm going to make an expanding pocket for them to put anything else that they want to put in there. So okay, let's crack on with pages 1 and 2. I've got them cut out, and so that we can, you know, move forward relatively quickly. Now at the start I should tell you that each page I've cut at 6.5 by 6.5. So this is the even number pages. You're going to need 4 of these that are 6.5 by 6.5. However, I also added on a 1/2 inch here, so that I could punch a border down the edge, the opening edge of the card. So you can either make them 6.5 square, or if you want to punch a border down here, then add on another 1/2 inch like I did. So my total piece was 7 inches by 6.5 inches. Okay, so you're going to need 4 of these, because they are then going to, let me put this aside for a moment, they are then going to fix onto 4 other pieces like this, and these are larger. So we're going to put the 2 pieces together like this, and that thickens up that lacy edge there and makes it not so flimsy. So I've used 300-pound cardstock here. The reason I did that is because it's going to be going to an older lady, and she may find it difficult to pick up something that's quite flimsy, but ordinarily I'd use 260 weight cardstock for something like this. But anyway, so I've used 300. So you're going to need a front and back for each page. I'll tell you about how to line up the die cut, to line up the punch cuts in a minute. So one page is going to be 6.5 by 6.5 plus the edge, the 1/2 inch lace edge, if you want to add one. The other piece is going to be 6.5 by 6.5 plus the lace edge, which is 1/2 inch, plus you need a gusset edge, because we're going to fold this up and we're going to stick it in the album like this. You don't need it on the other side, you only need it on one side. So you're also, in addition to 4 of these pieces, you're also going to need 4 pieces, which are in fact 7 by 6.5, or if you want to add a lace edge, they are 7.5 by 6.5. And I hope that makes sense as we go along. I haven't scored these, which is a bit remiss of me, but I'm going to score them in a moment because that's one of our first tasks. Now, to create this punched edge that lines up, obviously it's going to look terrible if it doesn't line up exactly. So what I did was I found once I'd cut the sheet out, imagine it's like that, I found the centre, you know, used my ruler, found the centre, and then I put it in the punch. Hold on, let me get a punch and I'll show you. I think this is the punch I used. So I put it in the punch upside down so that I can see where it's actually going to punch to. So I put a mark on it in the centre, and then I put it in here like this, and I lined up that mark with the centre of the design in here. So basically I started from the centre out, and then I carried on punching as you would normally. And since I did that on both sheets of paper, both sheets of cardstock, they lined up perfectly afterwards, which is what I wanted. So it's going to sit like that. The longer piece is going to, once we've got the score line down it and we've made this the gusset, is going to be the front, the odd number pages. So this will be page 1, this will be page 2, and that's the same all the way through. Okay, right, so you'll see me go through this, you know, a number of times as we get on with it. I've also cut out all of my pieces, and I've put tape on the back of them so that I can move along fairly rapidly. So this is page 1, and for page 1 I've decided to do a simple pocket, and that pocket, to make this go a bit further, I have cut a mat for each page. I've decided to use the silver, mainly because I don't have enough sheets of a coloured cardstock, because for 6.5 or 6.25, which is what they are, you're going to need 12 sheets of cardstock, and I managed to get these out of 8 by 11s and still have plenty of stuff left over, so it wasn't so wasteful. So the first thing I need to do actually is to put my score line down this back edge of the first sheet, and I tend to use my my cutter to do that. So I am going to line this up with the 1/2 inch mark here, run my bone folder down it, which is here. There we go, get a nice score line. Now that is going to be the gusset. Let's move that out of the way for a moment. When we come to stick this in, we're going to fold this back, obviously, and give it a really nice crease, but we don't need to bother with that right at the moment. On the back of this sheet, and I did this one incorrectly, but I will show you this just in case, I've put tape around here, here and down here because I'm going to use a wet glue to stick this part to the corresponding part on the other page, like that. Now, on all of the other pages, I realised my mistake, and all of the other pages are taped on the smaller piece, not the larger piece. The only piece of tape that you need on the larger piece is down the back gusset part, which is obviously going to be stuck into the album like that. Okay, so this being page 1, let's make a start with this. So this has what I've designed to go on here is a mat. Now all of the mats are cut to the same size, and they are 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. Yeah. This is 6 1/2 by 6 1/2. So this is going to be 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. And this page is going to be assembled so that it looks like this. There's your mat. This is the backing. Let's take that off for a moment. That's my little bits to remind me. This is the backing for the page, which is going to sit like that. And then this is going to have a simple front pocket here, like this. I'm going to give it a tag pocket like that, and the envelope, whichever one I use, take one of these for example, will fit in there. So like I say, this is going to be, and a tag will slot into this tag pocket here. Now like I say, this is going to be a fairly simple album, which is great for beginners, but also they are quite elegant. A simple album, you don't have to have it with complicated flips and flaps, although I do like making albums like that. It can just be a nice, you know, simple clean lines, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see that as we construct this. Okay, so in all cases I've made these pockets where I use them to fit over the backing paper but not over the mat. So the pockets, so the pocket for this one is 6 inches, because my mat is 6 inches. That's 6 inches plus 2 1/2-inch folds. So if you cut it at 7 and score it at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Now I made this pocket 3 inches to include that punched lace edge to keep it, you know, in line with everything else that's going on. If you don't want to include the punched edge, you can either keep it at 3 inches or you can just simply make it at 2 1/2 inches. Okay, now when I came to assemble it, the other thing that I noticed is that once these are scored, this backing paper is just a tad too big for this to wrap around. So the ones that have got the pocket on them, like this one, I'm going to trim down by 1/8 of an inch. So let's pop this down here and pop that on there, and I'm going to trim it at 1/8 of an inch along one side only. There we go. Whoops, playing music while I'm going. And that then will ensure that the pocket fits around it, as opposed to, you know, we often put them like this, but I don't like seeing that edge inside, so I'm going to wrap this around. So what I've done is, let's put that out of the way. What I've done is I've made the pocket, I've scored it. It's decided to crack a bit, but that's fine, it will be covered. And on the back side of it, I've used a thin piece of tape along the bottom, 1/4 inch tape, and then I've added 2 1/2-inch pieces of tape to the insides here and here. Okay, so I've also added the tape around the backing paper, the mat. So let's get this fixed together now. Let's remove this tape first. And bearing in mind that one of these edges, one of these is 1/8 of an inch shorter. So I have mine, this is not quite 6 1/4, it's 6 1/8, and this is 6 1/4. Okay, so let's get this lined up so that it fits around the outside. There we go, that's the bottom. Turn it over, remove a bit of this tape. I also learned as I was going along, which I hadn't thought about, and that is that you don't actually need to tape this part of the mat because this is going to fold over it. Otherwise it's tape to tape and it's not worth it. You know, it doesn't make it any better particularly. So there, and this piece, take that up, and if it overlaps this one, then you're going to need to take the tape off of this a little bit as well. So it might be worth, actually, I mean, I had to do it like this for the preparation for the video, but if I was making it and I wasn't videoing it, then I would probably just put the backing tape on after I'd assembled the pocket. It'd be a lot easier. Okay, so we have the pocket now. We need to add the front piece, which I'm going to put here. Now this is 5 3/4 by 2 1/4, so I've left a 1/4 inch gusset, which gives me 1/8 of an inch all the way round. So let me just get this lined up. Take this one piece off to line it up over here, roughly 1/8 of an inch all the way round. Oops. Let's get that right. There we go. Take this, take the rest of the backing papers off and stick it down. Obviously you can arrange, you can cut your pieces however you want to. You might want to make it a closer fit, which is entirely up to you. But my plan is tomorrow, when I come to assemble the book, is where we have a gap like this, and my plan is to put some bling or some ribbon or something like that. And also I wanted to make sure that I didn't break into another third book of the Stamperia papers, so I used the scraps that I had, and that's all the, you know, that's what it was. So now that will happily take an envelope. So because it's a fairly plain background, I think it can take a busy envelope with a card in it, which will fit in there like that. All that needs to be done now is to add a small tag pocket, which I'm going to put on this side because the picture is there. So for that, I think I will use the tape for this as well. So let me just get my trusty acrylic block, which is my tearing block. It's going to go up that way, I think. So I need to tape this side and this side. So when I turn it over, it's that side. You definitely don't want any thicker tape than this, otherwise you won't be able to get your tag in. Ordinarily I would use a wet glue here, but it's going to take too long to dry, so I'm just quickly using this tape. This tape I'm using is the Su Quang, I think it is, tear and tape, and it's very strong. So let's just give this a bit of a burnish with the bone folder. Check that I'm actually taping, which I am. That's good, because like I say, this is a one-off, so it won't be, I mean, I might use the pattern and the idea again, but obviously I won't be making it exactly the same as this again. A lot of the things that I make are one-offs. So I'm just going to line this up over here. There we go. And we have a tag pocket as well, which looks very nice. So that basically is page 1. All that we need to do now is affix it to the background, and then we're going to put that onto the page. So let's get that done. If I just take these pieces out for the moment, I remember that those have got to go in there. I'm going to remove the backing tape. I remember that I need to put some glue on these pieces because I accidentally used its backing tape to stick them down too. So let's put some wet glue on here. Actually, I like to put it on the tape as well, because it gives me just a little bit of wiggle room, and it's doubly as strong then in that case. So let's line it up. Try to get it as good as we can. I think that that's it. Yep, looks like it. There we go. Tuck that piece underneath where it's been glued, and that's that done. Put the lid on. Let's give it a good burnish down here. Yeah, like I say, I would normally use wet glue all over with this, with something like this, because it makes the bond very strong. But for the purposes of this video, it's fine just to use score tape. Did I take the tape off of that corner? Yes, I did. Right, okay. So adhere that to this. Now don't forget, we're using the larger sheet for page 1. That's going to go on there, leaving a neat border all the way around. And then that's page 1 done. So let's take off some of the tape. I like to release a corner if I'm going to do it like this. There we go. And then I can line it up using the other 3 corners and stick it in place with that one that I've released. So this is going to go here, like this. And I think that that's level. Let me lift it up and take a look. Yes, that's fine. So I'll stick it down there, remove these backing papers. Line the backing paper under here. And the one under here. There we go. First page sorted. There's lots and lots of preparation, but actually once it comes together, it's pretty simple. So there's the envelope that's going to sit in there, and there's its tag. And tomorrow I'll decorate this edge here and maybe start adding some butterflies. I mean, it might be nice to put a butterfly on here or something, but I'll get round to that at the end. At the moment I just want to do the construction part. So that's page 1. Now the back of it obviously is page 2, and fortunately the cardstock I've used is pearlised on one side, so I can tell which is the front and back, which is very useful. So this one here is going to be, this is the mat for it, which is going to go on here. This is the facing page like that, and this one is going to have a belly band that goes vertically like this. Now again, it's going to need to be trimmed, because if you can see, when you add the score lines, they take up a little bit of space. So I'm going to need to trim this again by just a scant 1/8 of an inch. And this time I'm going to take it off of the top, because the belly band is going vertically as opposed to horizontally. So I'm taking just an 1/8 of an inch off there. Okay, so that's the belly band that's going to go on here like this, like that. That's the cover for it, which is going to go on like that. As you can see, I've punched both sides of the belly band as well. So including the punched edges, sorry I knocked the camera there, including the punched edges, I've made mine 3 inches by 7 inches, because don't forget you need 2 1/2-inch gussets. So 3 inches by 7 inches, score both ends at 1/2 inch. And I've included the, you know, the punched edges in that. If you don't want to, you could make it, mine is 2 1/4, 2 1/4, 2 1/8 maybe, without the punched edges, but that's entirely up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is add this top paper, and I think it looks really pretty that way up actually, so I'm going to put it that way, which is upside down, funny enough, but I like it. So let's take off a piece of this backing paper, get it lined up here and here, and midway between the 2 punched lines, there and there, which is nice. Remove the rest of the backing paper. And there we go. This one I'm also going to add a little pocket to it, and I'm probably going to put that at the bottom like that. Let me get it on page first. So again, I've, you know, got a bit ahead of myself really, and put the backing tape on the paper, but it's probably better to do it after you've added, you know, the things that you're going to put on, like the belly bands and stuff like that, because otherwise you're just kind of wasting tape really. So now then, I know that this is 3 inches. Yep. I want it to sit midway, so I'm going to find the midline here, which is, if this is 6 inches, that's 3 inches just there. So the middle of that needs to line up with the middle of this. So I'm just putting a little, you know, little tiny score line there, like that. I'm going to put that on there. Line it up with midway here. Just check that before I fold it over. 1.5, yep, it comes to just about there. Remove this piece of score tape. You see what I mean? I've doubled it up, so I've got score tape and score tape, which obviously will make it a lot stronger, but it's not necessary. And the same down here, whereas if I taped it afterwards, I would only have the one piece of score tape. That fits on there, and that's going back over there to hold it out of the way. Let's take a look at that. Yep, that looks absolutely fine to me. Let's add this little pocket. Again, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch tape. I think I'll have it up that way, so that means I want to put the tape down this edge. And along the bottom. Excuse me while I just open my window a minute. It's getting quite warm in here. It's a tiny little room and it very quickly warms up. We're actually in the middle of lockdown because of the coronavirus in England, where I am, and it's quite unusual to hear a car going past at the moment. It feels very eerie and very creepy. But that's the way it is at the moment. All I can say is the dogs are getting very well walked around here because you're only allowed out to walk your dog. So everybody's taking their dog out. So this will be the tag I think that I'm going to use. I'm going to use a fairly plain envelope. So let's take that one with this card. I mean, the family can change the envelopes and cards around as they want to. And I'm going to pop that in there. Or lengthways, like that. Where it's getting caught on the back there. So let's just hold that shut a minute and pop that in there. So that will look like that. That's page 2 that will go on the back. So what we need to do, remove these 2 pieces for the moment. Put this all together with this. Get that lined up nicely. So it's pretty even all the way round. There we go. Not too bad. Let's take off these backing tapes because I'm now going to have to put some wet glue on this bit here because of my mistake. But you live and learn, don't you? Can't be perfect all the time. Oh dear. So wet glue. Put it on here. Little bit on the actual tape. Lots on here. And the tape. And then I'll get this lined up. Where's my tweezers? use another pair. Okay, so let's get this lined up. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. That looks okay to me from where I'm sitting. Just make sure it's all stuck all the way around. Give it a good burnish. And fix it onto the backing. So again, I'm going to remove one corner. Here and here. Line this up. The thing is, because I'm going to do it flat, I don't want to get my head in the camera shot, I have to lift it up just to make sure that it is nice and straight and even, which it is. Press that down. There we go. Burnish it well. I think this is quite a nice way for, you know, to try and hold 9 birthday cards in one go. So let's hope the lady does too. Now let's make sure that this is in fact the right way up. Because what's the betting it isn't? Yeah, it isn't. How annoying is that? It's okay with the backing paper. So there you go, there's first lesson for today, is check that it's the right way up first. So I'm actually going to put this one aside and use this for the backing of another backing of another sheet. Will I be able to? Hold on, let me think. Because if that goes that way, and that goes that way, even if I turn it that way, this will be page 1. Okay, so there's the only thing I can do actually is to remove this, because this is the only thing that makes it the wrong way up. Or let me think on that. I'll come back to that. I think, hang on, if I can remove it, what I might do, because it's taped on, I can try with my hot glue gun, with my heat gun later, and see if I can remove it without damaging the paper. And if I can't, then what I'll do is I'll just stick it down and add another tag to the bottom. Yes, I'll do that. So there you go, first mistake of the day. Anyway, these are pages 1 and 2. So be really careful when you come to stick your backing on. Right, so that's pages 1 and 2. So in terms of the design that I'm using, page 3 is pages 3 and 4 are here. So what I did with these pages was this particular page here, whoops, was that I fussy cut out this design which is in the book, and I'm going to use that as a corner pocket. I'm going to stick that on and use that as the corner pocket. So that will be for page 4, which is the smaller of the two. That's that one. You see I pinned everything together. So that's going, because that's quite bright and cheerful, that's actually going to go with this paper, which I'm going to put on sideways like that, because I don't want to lose these butterflies, because if I put it on that way round, this is going to cover the butterflies, which is waste. So I'm going to put it on sideways like that. Like that. And then I'm going to add this so that you can still see the butterflies and it doesn't make any difference to them. Okay, so let me do the other page first, the first one of these two, and I'm going to score it at the 1/2 inch mark, like I did the other one. Don't know why I didn't score these already. Must have just forgotten about it as part of the prep. Score tool. Use another one. There we go. I think I'm going to close the window again because the bin men are just coming and that makes a lot of noise. Right, so this is going up this way. It has the tape on the back, and this time I've remembered not to put the tape all the way around. So that's going that way up. This is the mat that's going to go on here like this. And this one here is going to have the pocket on the side like that. So I've already trimmed this one up. This one's going to look like this when it's put together, like that. And I'm probably going to put this little tag pocket down here, so it's going to look like that. Right, okay, let's get assembling then. So first of all, make sure that this has the tape on. Yes, it does. Take the backing off of this. And this one's going to have the lace edge pointing towards the lace edge of the page. So I'm going to line this up here like this, stick it down temporarily. Now let's just look at the measurements for this. Again, this is 7 inches, the actual pocket, because don't forget this is, you know, 6 inch square. So it's scored both ends at 1/2 inch. It is also 2.5 inches wide, including the lace edge. And this piece here, therefore, is 1 7/8. It could be 2 inches, but the actual pattern was 1 7/8 by 5 3/4, which gives us a nice border all the way round. Let's remove the backing tape. this to this, choose which way up I want it. Do I want it that way or that way? I could have it that way, like that. And this is going to go on the left hand edge of mine. So I'm going to just stick that underneath. Remove this piece of backing tape here. So again, I've taped it along the bottom and I've taped just the two insides here. I'm going to line it up. Like this. Fold the 2 inches under. Stick it down, put the paper back. Same here. Lift this up. Put that under and put that back down. I must say the bin men are doing an absolutely brilliant job at the moment, because it's essential services only that are allowed out of the houses for the time being. Everybody else has to stay indoors. And they're doing a brilliant job clearing all the rubbish for us. Right, so let's remove this backing tape. All the way round. Use some wet glue on here and here, and just a little bit along these edges so that I've got some wiggle room. Find my tweezers and carefully line this up. Like this. There we go. Fabulous. Right, now while I've got the wet glue out, I'm actually going to use it to stick this down. I'm going to put it down here in the corner, just here. So along the 2 edges, here and here, and I'm going to stick it down here. There we go. So for this one, there will be an envelope with a card, any card like that, which will fit in either this way or this way. In fact, if I pop it inside there, that will help to hold it. There we go. So it fits in. No, it doesn't. It fits there. That's it. There we go, and it will have a tag as well, which will fit in there. Okay, So that's now going to be stuck to here, but learning my lesson from last time, I'm not going to stick it. Oh yes I am, I'll stick it on here. It's the other one that I'm not going to stick, the one on the back. So let's just remove some of this backing tape in the corner. In the corner. Line it up on here so that it looks absolutely gorgeous. Get it lined up nicely, properly in line. There we go. Just double check that by lifting it up. Slide it about so I've got it exactly where I want it. Yep, and then I can stick that corner down and pull these bits out. There we go. Okay, so that's this facing page here. Obviously this will be turned up like that, and that's going to stick in the album like that. So let's put that aside for a moment while we work on the back one. And this time make absolutely certain I get it the right way round. So for this one, there's nothing to tuck underneath. This is just simple, straightforward construction. Let us check that that card is going to fit here. There you see it lines up perfectly, which it does. Turn it over. This goes on this way round, and this goes on this way round like this. So let's take this off for a moment. And that, and that. I can stick this card straight down, stick this mat straight down. Nothing has to be altered or cut to fit with this, so it's still the same size mat that we've been using all the way along. They're all cut the same size. And it's just about lining them up. Make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. Any little bits that hang over the edge, just tuck them under. There we go, like that. This is the backing paper. There we are, I'm just freeing a corner up, nothing sort of special. Now I'm going to put this way round. Make sure it's centered. Oop, needs to go up a bit. Make sure it's centered. There. That looks fine to me. Just got to go over a tiny bit more. There we go. That's right. Now, I've also, when I fussy cut this, I don't mind if some pieces kind of go over the edge a little bit, like that and like that. That doesn't matter. So I have, but I do mind if this here is covered, because you won't be able to get the envelope in. I measured it already. So what I've done is I've put tape along the bottom, which is relatively a straight edge apart from this little divot bit here. So I've just put an extra little bit of tape this side and avoided that little divot. And then along the side edge here, I've just added 2 pieces of tape and not put anything here, because that will be fine on the card. But I don't want it, because otherwise I would have had to have put tape in too far. If I'd have run it here, I'd had to put it there, and then there wasn't enough room for the envelope to fit in. So it's better to do it like this. And because there's only an envelope and a tag fitting in here, it doesn't need to be anything but flat. I'm just going to give it a little bit of shape by manipulating it a bit with my hands, so that the envelope will fit in fine. This just helps to break the fibres a little tiny bit. Doesn't have to be anything special. Okay, then I'm going to line this up with this outside edge and the bottom. Careful not to go over the edge too much. Drop it down, and there we go. A little bit of tape sticking out, which I'll just push under. There, fine. And in that will go, I think we need a fairly plain envelope and card, if there is such a thing. How about that one? With the card. As you can see, when I made the envelopes, my plan is to put the tape here and here, so that the family, once they've written their cards, can seal the envelope if they want to. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in there. Fits in there quite nicely. And it can have a little tag to fit in the side, because there isn't a tag pocket. I didn't want to cover that. Oh, excuse me, I've got hiccups. I didn't want to cover this beautiful picture up. So that is that page. And that is going to stick to the back of the page that we've just done, which is here. Hold on, let's get this here. And hopefully we'll have got it right this time, so that that fits on there like that. Perfectly lined up. Yep, like that. And when you turn it over, yay, it's the right way up. Woohoo! How clever is that? You can see I feel pleased with myself. So I'm going to take the backing. Crazy. I'm going to take the backing off of this. I'm more than likely going to need to remake that page, so I'm going to have to break into a third pad of this, but I shall do that off camera. Such a nuisance, but there you go. These things happen. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue along here, and a few little tiny blobs of it along here. Just a few, just to hold it together. There we go. Line this up with this one. easiest way to do it is to simply drop it down. There we go. Oh, it's too skiddy. Skidding about all over the place. That's better. Looks like the wet glue is almost too effective. Oh dear, crazy, crazy woman. There we go, and that's how the front page should have been. So there we go. Okay, so that's lined up. Oops, it needs a little bit of a squeeze there and there. Just give it a little bit of a burnish. There we are. Burnish it all the way round. And there we have our page. And that is going to stick in the album like that. Okay, so well pleased with that, looks very pretty. So that's pages 3 and 4. Pop those over there. Let's go for 5 and 6. So this is 5. Move that out of the way so it's not so confusing. Now what I'm going to do with this one here, I have only a short piece of paper. I didn't have enough to cover the whole thing, and it doesn't matter because it doesn't really need it, because it's actually going to sit behind asymmetric cross cards, cross pocket. So that's going to sit there. That's going to sit there like that, and that's going to sit on top there and create the pocket there with its pieces of paper on there and there like that. And it's also going to have a tag pocket, which I think I've included with the other one. So I shall locate that in a moment. Anyway, this is roughly what it's going to look like. So let's make a start with this. First things first, actually I think I'll put this matting on there first. That keeps it out of my way. Move some of this junk. One, two. Line this up as usual, centering it up. It's nice and easy, this album, because actually all the pieces are cut to the same size and each page has only got one interactive part on it, as opposed to all the flips and flaps that I usually do. But like I say, this looks really pretty, looks really nice. And the function of it was to hold 9 cards. Otherwise they would just be giving her 9 birthday cards. 1 and 2. Burnish that down. The thing to remember is not to tuck these corners underneath this mat. They go underneath the actual paper. So let's attach the papers to these pieces. Now the way I did this was I cut, because this mat should be 6 by 6, I cut a square that was 6 by 6, and then I cut it, I cut a square that was 6.5 by, it was a rectangle, 6.5 by 6, because it has to have the 1/2 inch gusset down it. So you score that, tuck that out of the way. Now you have a 6 by 6 inch square you would have had, which I then put in my cutter, and I cut it corner to corner like that and punched down the edge there. Okay, and this one here I made a little bit smaller, so this one is, I believe, 4 by 4. Is it 4? Yes, 4. Oh, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, but then I also added that 1/2 inch gusset, so it was actually 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. 1/2 inch gusset, score that down there, do exactly the same thing, put it in my scoreboard, put it in my cutter like that, cut it diagonally and punched down that edge. Okay, so it's asymmetric, it will fit together like that, which I just thought was a little bit more interesting than diagonal to diagonal. So let's attach the papers. If the backing chooses to come off, of course. There we go, there's one. One, 2, and 3. Don't forget, I will be posting a list of all of the papers, of all of the cut sizes that you're going to need. This one here, so the topping paper is in fact a 3 1/4 inch square. Yeah, 3 1/4 inch square, which I cut diagonally, and that will fit on here like this. There we go. And this one is 5 1/4 square, which I cut diagonally. There we go. There we are, lines up nicely and doesn't release the tweezers. Okay, so now all that needs to be done with this is to put some narrow score tape along the bottom, which I've forgotten to do. Yes, that's the right way up. So some narrow score tape along the bottom here. I'm not taking it over the top of the lace pattern. I'm keeping it, you know, sort of well tucked under that. Because if it needs anything, it will just need a bit of wet glue will be fine on it. Let's get rid of that piece. This one here is the same. Little thin bit of score tape along the bottom. there. Bit of a burnish. Right, okay, so this one's going to be slightly different because the backing paper isn't the size that we want it to be. But I'm going to take the top of the lace edge and line it up with the top of the paper like that, even though there's an overlap at the bottom. Okay, let's just double check that. Yeah, that's perfect on there. So that's how that's going to be. Let me take the backing tape off of here. Here. And a little bit here. Fold it back out of the way. And a little bit here. Fold that over, push it up really tightly, fold that over like that, put the backing tape back. There we go. So as you can see, the actual pocket overlaps. You know, it's bigger than the piece of backing paper, but that's fine. Now I'm going to do the same with the other piece. Pop that down there. We're going to line this one up now, the bottom of it with the bottom of this. Okay, push it up tight to the backing paper like that. You can have it either way. You could put it like that, or you could have the crossover like that if you wanted to. In fact, that's quite pretty actually. Let's have a look. There and there, or there and there. What would you do? I think I might do it this way. Quite like that. So I'm going to put it sideways. I'm probably going to use my ruler to make sure that this is straight along the bottom. Butt that up there. Okay. I'm going to hold that across and push that in tight, making sure that that fits across the bottom exactly, like that. And then carefully turn it over and remove the backings. That's this one and this one. Oops. Pop that back in as tight as it will go. Play nicely, don't be naughty now. There we go, like that. And then we can put that backing back down to there. Get rid of the rubbish, and that's now a nice straight edge along the bottom. So we need now to stick this edge down to here. I'm going to use a little bit of wet glue on the lace, and I've already put a piece of tape along the bottom here, which I'm going to remove. There we go. And when it closes over, the lacy bit is going to go up to about there. So I'm going to add some glue to that bit there. all the way down to this, and carefully fold it over, just making sure that the bottom lines up completely. There we go. And that leaves that pocket open for that envelope. Excuse me, making a mess on the countertop here. Right, so this piece now is going to fit on here like this. Line it up like that. Yep, it's taped all the way around, so I'm just going to remove my backing tape. Somehow I managed to do this one correctly. Don't ask me how. Oh dear, crazy woman. There we go, and the last one is here. So I'm going to just sort of manipulate it a little bit. We want this front pocket to stick out a tiny bit more so that we can get the envelope in. Right, let's line this up, try and get it nice and square, how we want it to be. It needs to be a bit more over there, a bit more up there. Let's have a look. Whoops, not that much up there. This is the fiddliest bit, is lining it all up. But if you just drop it in position, it won't stick until you actually press it. So that needs to come down a little bit. There. So there. Okay, good enough. Stick that down. Stick this down, give it a really good sharp bone foldering. Don't forget, I've left some places where I'm going to add some bling and things. So now that will take a nice decorative envelope with a card. Tuck that in there, like that. And it will also take a very pretty tag. There we go, like that. Okay, so that's the front page. The back page, which is page 6, is pretty simple. It's another one of those with a pocket. Let's move some of my junk out of the way. There's a lot of repeated themes. So it needs to go this way, which is a lesson I've learned. That needs to stick together there. There we go, like that. Lines up very carefully. Like that. So it needs to go that way round. Again, I'm going to just put this silver mat down. And we're nearly there, guys. For today anyway. Tomorrow's part will be the, you know, putting the whole album together and making the box. So that's going to go on there. Similar border all the way round. There we go. That's fine. Yep. sometimes it's just as good to see what not to do, you know, I think. And that's why I'm not too, I mean, I'm a bit cross with myself, but I'm not overly fussed about that first page. I'll just remake it, but it's not the end of the world sort of thing, because if I show it to you, then at least you can see what not to do, can't you? So that's going to line up on there. This one is going to go on this side. Now let me see if I've cut this one down. I have. Look how clever I am there. Smarty pants. Right, so that's going to hook over. Let's move that out of the way. And that. Line that up there. What I'll do is I'll make the other one, you know, the first page, I think it was page 2, wasn't it? I'll make that off camera so that it doesn't, because it's exactly the same. I'm going to make it exactly the same, just the right way up this time. With a bit of luck. Stick that down to there. Just double check it is correct. It is. Excuse me. And this piece up here, there. Oops, got to take this piece off as well, haven't I? Forgot about that. Let's pop that along that edge, making sure it's straight. Stick this one down and put these pieces back again for the time being. Right, so that's actually going to go this way round. The other one went the other way round. Yep. Right, take the backings off. Backings. That goes down there. Need some wet glue. That appears to no longer want to be wet. Right, so let's get this lined up. Has that got tape on it underneath? Look at that. Stupid me. The reason that won't stick down is because it's still got tape covering on it. Grief. There we go. That's better. Right, so now this is going to go this way up. Sorry if my head is getting in the way. Oops. No, thank you. Quite hard to do this without getting your head in the way. That's got to go down a little bit. See, the benefit of putting that wet glue on the tape means that you can keep lifting it. Oh, for a certain amount of time anyway. There we go. There we go. Right. Give it a good old bone foldering. Wipe off any excess glue before it dries. There we go. Make sure these edges are very nice and neat. There we go. Helps to put the lid on the glue now and again. Oh dear, woman. Pop this on. This is the same size as the other side pocket, which I already showed you. But like I say, I will give you all the measurements. It's just that it's a long cut list, so I didn't want to give it to you as part of this video because it would be very confusing and it would be very boring for you. There we go. Pop that down there. This is the little pocket for it, the little tag pocket. So let's find a nice card and envelope. We're going to pop that in there like that, and this tag pocket can go here. Why not? Looks good. Bit of wet glue. Just mixing and matching it up really. It's all, you know, there's several themes that are repeated, but if I can just mix and match them up, put them round the other way or move the tag holder or something, it just makes each page look different. So let's pop that down there. Hold that for a second or two while it starts to adhere. And then we can get these two pages stuck together. So take the backing off. And then I think all that remains to be done is the inside front and the inside back, which we will whiz through. There, put some glue along here. By sticking these two lace pieces together, it actually gives a nice firm page, a nice firm hold. So if the album is going to get a good bit of use or is going to be used by somebody who's, you know, going to find it difficult to turn very delicate things, that's the ideal solution. Now let's make it the right way up. Yep, that's that and that. Line these two up. The trick, I think, is to line the lace up first and then let the other part just fall down. Oops, too far over. Bring it back a bit and bring that one up a bit. Nope. Like I say, I think the trickiest part of this album is just actually lining it up. If you wanted to make it a lot simpler, then, you know, just simply leave off the lacy bits. It would be very much simpler. I just quite like it as a nice decorative edge. Make sure this lines up properly here, along here and at the bottom. And there we go. Bone folder. Bone folder. Bone folder. There we go. So that's that page. opens this way, like that. Okay, so that's the last of the pages. Let's put, oh no, it isn't, 7 and 8 to come. 7 and 8. So this is a 5 and 6. This is 3 and 4. And this is 1 and 2. So this one here, again, pretty straightforward, but in this case I've made a die cut that will overlap here, and we'll tie it together with a little ribbon. So that is the one that goes on the page that's folded over, the bigger page, which is this one that's not been scored. Move some junk out of the way. I hope this video is not going to be too long and boring for you. I just wanted to get all the pages done, sort of out of the way really, for you. And I just really didn't want to make it into three video album. There's no need for it. Right, this one goes round this way, always with this gusset piece to the left. So this one here, this first page here, is the one that's going to be tied with a little die cut. So let's fix this on. I suppose I could have done all of this first, but I want to let you see some of the process at least. Line it up. Make sure. Yep. There we go. Perfect. This is the one that's going to go on here. And as you can see, I've made 2 little die cuts. Now, you can use a doily die cut if you have one. It needs to be relatively sturdy. So if you have very flimsy card, then I would suggest you stick 2 or 3 pieces together. I've also added a 1/2 inch gusset to go underneath. And I'm going to make sure these 2 line up so that I can get them tied together with a piece of ribbon. So this is the, yes, this is the piece that I'm going to use for it. And these pieces need to fit under the edge so that they come together. Make sure they line up. They're quite flat there. So they're going to look like one there, and the other one is going to go here, and where that little hole is, there is where we're going to tie a nice ribbon bow, and that will hold, along with a small piece that's going to go in the bottom here, that will hold the envelope and the tag. One hopes. You never know with me. We'll find out as we go along. Oh dear. What can I say? What can I say? Right, so we push this up as tight as we can to the edge, lap that over and push that down. making sure those edges are straight there. And we're going to do the same with the other piece. So that's one side. This is the other side. Make sure they're completely lined up properly. Move this piece of tape. Butt that up. Take that piece off, and before I stick it down, I want to check that it's actually lining up with the die cut in the front. So let's have a look. It's going to come down just a tiny, tiny bit. Come on, don't stick down already. Nobody asked you to do that. There we go. You see? Lines up completely. Pop that in as tight as it will go and fold it over. Did I take the backing off of that one? I bet I didn't. Oh yeah, I did. Good. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Right, okay. Now, that's going to be like that. That needs to be stuck down to here, like this, because the little gusset piece I have here is not going to fold under, it's just going to be flat on here like this. Okay, and that's what will stop the envelope from dropping out. So let's get this down. Take this piece off for the moment. Line this up nicely. There we go. Oops. Don't budge. Remove all the extra pieces. Come on, be nice. Be nice, you're on camera. Let's remove that piece. Get so far with it. And this piece. Now we just need to do this piece. At least we do actually have the nice light evenings now. We're officially into springtime. It makes all the difference. It's so dark and gloomy and horrible when it was getting dark at sort of 3 o'clock or 3:30. Now it's about 7 o'clock before it actually gets dark. So we're going to pop this in the middle, and the middle for me is about here. I'm going to pop it down near the bottom, like that. I just ran a piece of tape along the bottom edge here so that all of this is open, because that's where the envelope's going to sit. Now make sure that that's well folded. There. And there. The envelope to fit in here, I'm going to use this one, and I can either put it this way up, which I think I probably will, and a little tag. nice bright little tag, probably. Pop that in there. And I have my piece of ribbon here, which I'm going to use in my die cut here. Tweezers have stuck to it. There we go. There. There we go. There we go. Now we're talking. Just pull one end through, preferably the shorter end. Fiddly fiddly. There we go. There we go. And pop it through the other side. And tie it in a nice bow and trim it off. Carefully, carefully. There we go. Obviously I'll straighten that out a bit more when I have more time. Bring these two pieces together and this will be held together with a nice little bow. Being quite generous with the ribbon here just because I'm no good at tying bows. I always have to do them upside down. Like that. So there, round there, and in there. That's that. Then we can just cut the ends off. Keep them quite long because it is fiddly to tie bows. 1 and 2. There we go. So that's that page. Looks really pretty, doesn't it? Okay, so now the back and the last page, like I said, I tried to say before, tried to persuade us, is there. It's going to need this mat put on it. Like I say, I wish I'd actually added the mats first because before I started filming, because it would have taken up a lot less time, but there we go. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? There. There. Make sure it's straight, which it is. Take that off. And that. And this one. There we go. So that's that down. That's lovely. Perfect. Onto that we're going to add another belly band, but this belly band is going sideways, so it has a stopper at the bottom, she says. Thinking what's happened to the stopper. Where has the stopper gone? How annoying. The stopper will be found. Oh, there it is. It's on that one. Fancy putting it over there. Right, so there's the stopper. So again, this belly band is going to be exactly the same as the other ones have been. It's going to go round here. I need to trim this by 1/8 of an inch. some I remembered and some I didn't, unfortunately. So let's take the 1/8 of an inch off of that side. It's a little bit plainer. So this belly band is going to go sort of across here, and I have cut it at 1 3/4 inches, and obviously lace punched the 2 edges, and therefore the piece that's going to stick onto it, which again was a scrap, and that's how I reached the size that I wanted, is because I had this piece of scrap, is 3/4 inch by 5 3/4. So let's get that folded under and stuck down. Oh, must just quickly take a drink. Excuse me. Now this one, I don't want it centered. I want it, I basically want to avoid these words, because there's a word here that I'm going to put on here. So I want this to sit somewhere around there, like that. So let's pop it under one side and the other side. And smooth that out and smooth that out. Okay, so that could do with coming up a little bit, maybe. So there, so I'm just doing it by eye, really. Needs to go up a little bit so that it's level. There, that's got us sitting a bit flatter. Right, let's just check that that's level. Yes, it looks level to me. So I can stick those down. I hope you can still see it. This coronavirus is a real nuisance because it means all the nail bars are closed. Which isn't that wonderful for us ladies? Oh, excuse my dog's barking. There, that goes on there and that sticks back to there. Right, sentiment is going to go on here, not the sentiment, the centre of it is going to go on here, like this. There, and this piece here. Use my tweezers to line this up. No long nails, use tweezers. It's going on there, like that. That's going on there. And my one is overhanging a little bit at the end, so I'll just trim that off. Obviously didn't measure that correctly. There we go. No problemo. Excuse me. So now this is my stopper. That's going to go on the bottom there, like that. So let's just put some tape along there. side. Pop a bit of tape along the bottom, and it's also going to be my tag holder for this page. So let's take this off. First of all, actually, I'm going to stick this onto here before I add that. So, remove this tape. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bit of wet glue. My messy old desk. I hope it doesn't look too bad on the video. I had it absolutely spick and span earlier on, but it's me throwing all these bits of paper all over the place before I chuck them in the bin. It looks like a bird's nest. It's crazy. Right, let's get this lined up the right way round. There and there and there. Looks good. What I think I'll do is I'll do the inside front cover and the inside back cover tomorrow, because it's going to take too long otherwise, and I can do it as part of the of making the front and back cover. So I'm just going to kind of line this up, pop this on here. All of these little square things are 2 inches square. Yeah, 2 inches. And I put the paper onto a piece of cardstock and then cut it out as well so that it's extra firm. Right, okay, so we have a nice envelope to go here, like that. That can slide down into there, like that. And we also have a nice, quite plain tag that will help to hold it all together. So that's that page. Okay, so this is page 7 and 8, and again we're just going to do exactly what we did before, in that we're going to put some glue along here, take off the backing paper, take off the backing tape, I hope you're understanding and sort of following on with my video so far. You can see that once all the, once it's all been worked out, the actual construction of it is not that difficult. It's quite a nice simple album. It's quite very effective. And in these envelopes, if you didn't want to put cards, you could put you could either A, not make the envelopes and just use tags instead, photo tags instead, or you could make the envelopes and add your photo tags or photos straight to that. So it's got lots of possibilities. Right, let's make sure this is the right way up. Yep, and yep. Get this lined up. The lacy edge gives it that little bit of extra interest, I think. Makes it, you know, interesting enough for people that are quite used to making albums. It's not too sort of basic, so you know, it suits everybody really. I've enjoyed doing it. In fact, I haven't made an album for a while now, so it's given me a bit of added interest. There we go. It's important, I think, to get that lacy edge straight first, and then you can just drop that into place. And she says dropping it into place. Thank goodness for the glue. There we go. Dropping it into place. Into the right place this time. That's better. You see the difference? You know, if you use the glue, you can lift it up and move it about, whereas if you don't use the glue, once it's down, that's the end of it. There we go. Perfect. So that's the last page that we're going to do today. Like I say, we'll do the inside front and inside back tomorrow. So these are your pages so far. One, forget that one because it was a, well, don't forget it, it will look like that. It will look like that. I'll do that overnight. So those are the pages. Pop that down in there like that. The inside front and inside back covers are going to, the inside front here is going to be let's turn that round. That's going to go on there. Then we're going to have these photo mats here that are going to sit on here. One like this, so you can flip them up and put a photo underneath them. Two, I'm just trying to do it roughly so you can get an idea. And three, that's how that's going to look. But the actual pocket is this silver backing, and that's where your card and envelope will sit behind there, like that. And the tag will keep the whole thing closed. So that's the inside front cover. And the inside back cover, which we don't need an envelope for, is going to be a simple storage envelope. So it's a concertinaed folded expandable envelope that's going to sit on this silver backing like this. I'll show you how to do it tomorrow. And it's going to have a flip lid like that, if that gives you some sort of an idea, like that, which is going to be held in place with a lovely little button that I've made here, like that. Okay, so I'll do that tomorrow, along with the front cover and assembly and everything, and hopefully the box that it fits in. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.